On today's video, we're going to give you all the details on Transformers Legacy United Commander Class Magmatron. It's morphin' time!
Magmatron Henshin!
Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to another Transformers video. Today we're taking a look at Transformers Legacy United Commander Class Magmatron. This is the newest Commander class. I've reviewed several Commander classes before. I'm starting to make it a regular thing on the channel because I really love Commander class. Also, if you're sitting here going, what's a Commander class? I recommend go checking out my video explaining Transformers size classes. Seem to have helped a lot of people understand what kind of goes on with the size classing in Transformers because it's a little weird. But on this note, we're going to look at Magmatron. We're going to go through all the details, but I wanted to highlight the box here because it's just some really nice artwork. We got Magmatron here, a couple little cheeky Easter eggs to Beast Wars Neo. It does say Beast Wars Universe Magmatron. It's interesting it doesn't say Beast Wars Neo Universe, the way that Beast Wars, the second universe, was used as the tag for Leo Prime or Lio Convoy and Tasmania Kid. You can see the side panel art here actually centers Magmatron because usually they cut this straight down the middle with him in the middle, so that's kind of nice. And then you can see on the back the 3 dinosaurs that make up Magmatron plus the blast effects that are included. And we can see on the side we got artwork of his 3 individual dinosaurs, and on the top another ship that I believe is from Beast Wars Neo specifically. So we're going to take a look at this guy. We're going to go through all the details, but what we're going to do is something different. So he's packed in his combined robot mode, which is nice because that means you can just kind of pull him straight out, kind of like this. But what we're going to do is we're going to start in dinosaur mode because the instructions tell you how to get from robot mode to dinosaur mode. So let's start in dinosaur mode and get to robot mode. That way this video's got a little tutorial feature. And if you like this type of video and you like more Transformers videos on the channel, be sure to hit the like button. Lets me know you enjoy this. Hit subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss out on future Transformers videos, because you never know if they might be teasing Big Convoy down here. But on that, let's get into it. Let's take a look at Magmatron, starting in Dino mode and working our way up. All right, so we're going to start with Skysaurus because I think he's the least interesting of the 3 dinos. Now, Magmatron's original toy was from 1999. And he came out, of course, in Japan for Beast Wars Neo. He came out in Beast Machines' Dinobot line in the US. But even though I have a ton of Beast Wars toys from that era, I don't actually have an original Magmatron. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put Skysaurus over here. We're gonna zoom out a little bit, and I'm just going to insert some image of the original Skysaurus with the proper image sourcing so you guys can see how they updated it. Based on what it looks like, it's a lot of what Legacy has done best, where it's like, wow, it's the original toy, but way better and more improved. And I like when we see that because it gives reason to kind of remake things so closely. You can make them much better than how they were. So moving back to Skysaurus, he's got kind of a weird looking face here. I think he's a Quetzalcoatlsaurus, but I'm not exactly sure. Don't quote me on that. He's got, you know, the teeth lined in. He's actually got a painted mouth on the inside, which is really, really nice. This is what the kind of stuff I love about Commander, is the extra detail work, the extra size. But you can see he got like a nice like lizardy skin texture to him. He's got gold on his claws on both the feet here and on the hands. The wings are pretty good. You can move them up and down here at the shoulder. They can move in and out. They also can rotate out like this, which I think looks pretty good, all things considered. This part is softer. And then there's these swords that are stored right here with 2 pegs that Magmatron can hold when combined. But it kind of fills out the design of the wing. And then one of the coolest features here is, like a lot of late Beast Wars toys, I wouldn't say late, but like about, I think it was the 2nd or 3rd year, they started introducing spark crystals as like a signifier of factions. So instead of a faction symbol, you got a spark crystal. So what it is it's a Predacon logo underneath a clear dome of plastic. I don't think this is as reflective as the original spark crystals were, but it's nice to see spark crystals because a lot of those are on Transmetal toys that we have not seen remakes of. So it's kind of giving me hope that when we do see Transmetals, which I hope they just do regular paint for, we don't need the VAC metal chrome, we will see spark crystals for those because it's very reminiscent and very nostalgic for me, seeing spark crystals in a modern toy. On the back here, really nice paint wash with the gradient cresting from one shade of red down to the other. And looks pretty good. I think overall, he's kind of a fun, dopey looking bird. You can get him, of course, into a flying position here, which is really nice. But his main purpose is to be, you know, a component of something else. He does have nice articulated legs, hips, swivels at each of those limbs, and then the neck does come down. So I think he's neat, but let's move on to somebody a little more exciting. All right, here is Seasaurus. Now, Seasaurus is, of course, your sea-bearing part of this. He is long neck plus legs. I like how Magmatron is kind of a mix of lesser-known dinosaurs. Here he is. Here's a picture of the original that I pulled from somewhere, just so you can get an idea of how very similar this is. This, much like a lot of the Beast Wars recent generation stuff, Magmatron's components feel like just plussed up versions of the originals, which I think is great because it makes it more available for newer collectors. And on top of that, it allows you to have something better than what we had before. So coming back to it, articulation-wise, he's kind of limited in the body. You just have ball-jointed fins here. You can move these forward and back, but that's not quite natural. He does have a bunch of joints in the neck because he's got this long neck. And this thing is mostly transformation joints, but it rotates, it moves in and out. It rotates, it moves in and out. So you can kind of get the idea there. Nice opening mouth. You can see they painted him pretty good. Because he's got the teeth, he's got at least the bottom jaw, the top part's a little concave, so you don't get as much detail, but he looks fantastic. Once again, really nice gradient shading along the body here, which I think is really, really cool. The only complaint, and it's minor, the only complaint I have is the gappiness in the neck, because if you're not careful, you're just going to get these really gappy sides, but that's a budget thing. I don't mind that much, especially because you can rotate this guy in ways that'll make it so you never see those gaps from the front, which I think is nice. Works pretty good. My thing is this. This spot here will have something plug into it later, and it does have these little missile pods, but like everything's organic, and then you turn it over and there's that. I wish we had some kind of filler piece or like a stand for him to like float on or something that could have plugged in there. Maybe that was just not in the budget, but as we'll talk about, there's an accessory with this thing that I don't think we needed. So we'll look at that later, but I think overall, Seasaurus, pretty dang cool. And then, of course, we have Landsaurus, who is a very, very cool looking dinosaur. I like that he's different than Beast Wars Megatron, who is a purple T-Rex. This guy is I think he's Allosaurus or something like that. I can't remember the exact name. He is not your typical like T-Rex design. Really nice spine on there. Before we get too far in and I forget, here he is, and then here is the original somewhere here. It's, again, I think there's not anything to add to the conversation at this point. It's just kind of cool to compare. I wish I could compare with the physical original toy. I just didn't have it, and by a certain point, the price got to a point of like, man, wouldn't it be cool if they made a new one? And that's what we got here. But anyways, I like these spines. It's kind of Godzilla-like with the white spines along the top. Really nice work here with the textures as well. Again, it's just a thing they've done with the Beast Wars stuff from Kingdom onwards, is they give them realistic textures, which I think is so cool. I don't need the animation accuracy as much as like I like the texture on them, because it makes them look less flat and looks more cool, especially because they're supposed to be blending in with organic animals. Articulation-wise, he actually has quite a bit, because they actually engineered him correctly here. So the neck turns left and right, which is a huge benefit. Gives him a lot of personality. It tilts up, but the neck cover only goes that far. What's cool about the neck cover is that it actually folds out here, specifically to cover the neck, which is nice. And then the mouth opens. It opens only just a little bit, but it's enough to give him like a more intense look. But I like how you can just pivot to do that. And then same thing with the tail. It's kind of an ugly cut. It doesn't move as natural as like Kingdom Beast Megatron, but it does swivel back and forth, so you can kind of have him at like this kind of pose. He is a robot in disguise. He doesn't have to look like 100% organic. He's not a Jurassic Park toy. His little arms are ball jointed, which is really fun, kind of adorable. The hips move out, because these are Magmatron's hips for his robot mode, so you can move, and then he's got ankle pivots. So if you want like a really crazy, like splayed, super action pose Landsaurus, you totally can. And that's freaking cool. And if you don't think that's cool, recheck your definition of cool. Really nice overall. I think they did a pretty good job. I think the only problem I have, I guess I would say design-wise, is if you move his legs too far, you're going to start to see robot bits in the center, especially that green part stands out. But you can hide it pretty well. I think overall, it's a pretty impressive transformation to get us to this. But this is our third dinosaur form. So Magmatron is unique among Transformers in that he's sort of Megazord-like, with these three dinosaurs becoming one robot. They don't have individual robot modes. This isn't a combiner, it's just one guy that splits up into three. And in fact, it's kind of something they did with Overlord for Master Force. But what's really cool is that in addition to the robot mode that, of course, we're going to go over that has a lot more features, there is a third mode. The third mode being Magmasaurus, which is the Transformers equivalent of a turducken. So we're going to combine that next because it's kind of easier to go from that to these. And then we'll split them back up and put them into Magmatron. But this is going to be interesting because this transformation is a little tricky. So to make Magmasaurus, we're going to start with Caesaurus. And the first thing to do, I just line this up off camera just to get all the rivets on one side and the gaps on the other. And we're going to pop this part up like this. We're going to pop this up like this. And this whole top half is basically going to split from the bottom half. This is how the toy functions, but there we go. We're going to split that, and then now we have these two chunks. So this is going to be pretty straightforward. We're going to move the legs forward here, and then we're going to take this piece and flip it up. All right, so then we're going to collapse these two panels down. They'll click into place here, latching them in. We'll rotate these parts forward, and we're going to flip up this clip in the center. And that's kind of all we're going to do with that piece. All right, so with that out of the way, we're going to take this piece, which has, of course, Magmatron's arms in it. We're going to get this out, and we're going to rotate it. Slide it, I guess, slide it down, then rotate it, because we want to get these arms out. They're going to be doing stuff. They're going to be supportive. We're going to pull these pieces out as well, so that way we can line all of this up to where these clips are going to line up to these angles and plug in to support these at this kind of strange looking angle here. It looks like it makes no sense, right? But it makes sense eventually. You want to get this clip down as well so that that's ready to go. So now we're just going to take and leave this kind of like this. We'll arrange the arms later as they will make more sense when he's connected to something else. All right, to get Landsaurus ready, you lift this panel up. That's all he does on his own. Okay, now we're going to take Caesaurus here, and we're going to connect this bigger clip down here to these two ports, and then the smaller two clip ports will fit that one. So we're going to go in here and click it in place, and click it in place up top, which is so hard to do on camera. This was much easier when I wasn't having to reach around a camera to do it. All right, there we go. Boom, so it's like that. So we're starting to take shape here. We're then going to fold that panel so that it goes into that slot to line that up. These panels will come undone and fold around in a way so that the pegs go into the holes in the tail. This will allow everything to stay connected while also allowing articulation range to not be sacrificed. And we're starting to see how difficult this is to do in a camera frame. I'm trying to show how the transformation works, and it's falling apart in my hands. And this isn't emblematic of like actually transforming the toy, because in a normal setting where you can hold it at different angles and look at it, it's going to work better. For me, I'm having trouble. I will say there's no real good place to push on here to line up those pegs. You kind of have to grab it from this edge, because if you push it here, it's going to hurt. It's just sharp. Not sharp, but sharp enough. Okay, so now we got that in place. So what the Magmatron arms are going to do is you need to kind of position them as if they are extra legs for the Magmasaurus. So there's that, and then we're going to come around here. They are tabbed in. We're going to untab them, get them moved around. You could have the elbows face whichever way you want. That's the way I like doing it. And it's my video, so we're going to do it the way I like doing it. Of course, you're noticing this tail is sort of in the way. So now you can reposition the tail like that, make it more straightforward than it was. And then now we're going to enclose the tail with the top piece. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we need to get this center plug into here, and then everything else should line up around it. So as long as you got it in this direction, you should be able to just line it up, push it down. There we go, locked in, and then you bring the tail piece up, plug it in, and now we've connected Seasaurus to Landsaurus, and now we just got one more Saurus to add. Okay, so now with Skysaurus, we're gonna just rotate the arms down like this, straighten this up, basically straighten these legs out. And we're gonna take this guy and basically just plug him in sort of backwards. He's just gonna lay down back to the back. There's a slot and a tab there. And then this is where the plugging in to the back of what was the bottom of Seasaurus comes in. You just gotta line this up. It can be tricky because of the wings being here and the fins. Let's see, move the fins out of the way. You can see there's a slot, or there's a tab on Sky, and there's a slot there, and then there's also a peg on Land that pegs into Sky. And then there is just a little spot there, and then you bring this down, and you want to get the legs up and around. And I don't remember if the legs have anywhere specific to go. Okay, and so the legs don't really have anything specific to do, so you just kind of line them up in the general area here to just kind of be part of the combination. I don't see any tabs for the feet, because there are tabs for the robot mode, but for this mode, it's kind of like that. And if you got all that together, and you'll readjust in a moment because you're on camera, there's Magmasaurus. So here he is, Mr. Turducken. It is literally just Seasaurus crammed onto Landsaurus with Skysaurus added on top. It is not the most beautiful mode in the world. In fact, I forgot to put those back. It is, in fact, you know, some might say ugly. I think it's beautiful in its chaoticness. The fact there is a third mode to combine the three dinosaurs into, the sides, you know, just being the three dinosaurs and the robot mode, is kind of amazing. It retains all the articulation, pretty much. I don't know if you can't rotate the tail anymore, but everything's pretty locked in. And then if you want to have something a little show accurate, I think, or something similar, if you want, you can pop up the heads so that there's still like 3 heads popping up, which is super cool. But in general, it is kind of a strange beast in a lot of ways. But if you know, you don't find strange beasts in the wild, are you really out in nature? I don't know what that has to do with Magmatron, but I just think it looks kind of neat, and the fact that they retain this mode is pretty cool. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to split these 3 dinosaurs apart into their individual modes, and then we will transform them into Magmatron from the individual modes, because starting from this, a little too hectic. Okay, so we're going to transform Landsaurus first because he is the bulk of Magmatron, and so it's good to get that base. First things first, you're going to just remove a whole chunk of this dude. So we're going to split his legs and then just rip his innards out. Yeah, this part here becomes the sword hilt, so we're just going to pull that out. You can see that we do have the spark crystal, so it's not just on Skysaurus, it is on all 3 of them, but they're a little bit more hidden on the others. So there we go. Spark crystal, we'll fold the handle out there, and then we're going to just collapse all these panels on top of themselves, so that way we can get kind of a nice sword hilt going on, kind of like that. It's kind of awkward because there's just a lot of stuff. It does always seem like you do it in the wrong order, but it is just a chunk with a handle. So there's that. Back to this poor guy. Now that we've torn apart the inside of him, you'll start to see how this all works together. The bottom part of the tail is a softer plastic piece, and you need to like rip it out of the tail, and it can get kind of stuck. But once you do, that's the other part of the sword. So you plug this together, and there you go. There is Magmatron's sword. So we'll put that off to the side. We're going to then come in here and work on the legs next. So with the legs, there's a lot of improvements. Unlike Beast Megatron, whose legs are just, you know, dino legs, but now in the robot orientation, Magmatron actually has a lot of flip out stuff, because it's kind of like Beast Wars Neo designs in general had a lot of this like techno-organic mix going on, so I thought that was pretty cool. I like little details like the little spikes popping up. It kind of breaks it up again, so it's not just looks like it's just dinosaur legs. One of the coolest bits is the hydraulic in the leg here. So you pull this out and pull this part out. If we can get to it, this is the hardest part. Oh, duh. You pull it out and pull it down. I don't know what I'm doing. We're going to pull this all the way down, And so this will line up and plug in here. And so that'll solidify the leg at that position, but it still has full knee range, which is pretty fantastic. It has more knee range in robot mode than it does in dyno mode, but that's kind of how that works. Let's do it cleaner this time because now I know what I'm doing. Pull this down, plug it in. This will also have the added benefit of allowing this joint to be locked so you don't just like suddenly have his stability come out from under him. And yeah, getting this is the hardest piece to move, is the back heel. Okay, so anytime using a tool on a toy, just be careful. I'm just doing this so it can get out. And then there we go, and then the little spikes. So I think the leg transformation's neat. I'm happy to see that it's more than just, oh hey, dino legs as legs, because it's a lot more interesting. All right, from here, it's pretty simple. You just pull this up. We're gonna rotate the legs down, and then we're gonna just kind of split and break apart his whole torso. Oh, you can plug the little dino arms. They actually have a little port to plug in. Pull that out. So now we're gonna start to see the formation of a robot in here. And now this is where it becomes tricky. So what you have to do, let's get this part split in half so it's out of the way. So what you do here is when you pull this up and click it in place, it's supposed to lock this rotation. So for example, you rotate it here like this, and then you plug in the waist like that, and then now this doesn't move. So when you go to undo the transformation, this is a thing some people miss and they end up snapping this tab. You need to pull this down first and then rotate it, because this tab here goes through this slot and locks that torso in place. So that way you still have a waist joint in there, but you don't have this rotation that you need to transform. So be very careful when you first get it, so that way you can rotate this. Just remember to pull the waist down first. Key, big, very important detail. Okay, so with that said, you want to kind of just position things. This little panel will even up there. We're just going to have this floating up, but you want to tuck his neck in, and then we'll bring these panels forward because those will be on the chest, but we're going to bring them down because we need to attach other dinosaurs to this guy to make him into Magmatron. But you can kind of see that Landsaurus, he makes that one shoulder, and he makes the legs and the tail and part of the chest. But we do have to get the rest involved to get the full robot. So on to Caesaurus. We're going to take and position all this out. It'll make sense in a moment. We're going to do basically what we did for the turducken mode. What was it, Magmasaurus? Wow, I can't get turducken out of my head when I look at that thing. You just want to split it in half like this. So this piece is going to become the shield for the robot mode. And we're going to just get all this kind of positioned how we had it for the Magmasaurus mode. So we got that. You got a nice little shield thing going on. These move, and I think it's just proposing because honestly every mode kind of tends to keep them like that. So locked in, ready to go. This panel's always funny because it moves just to get this panel open and just to fill a spot, but it looks like it folds over, but it doesn't. This is just how the shield is. Okay, but then the rest of this, we're going to take this, move it out. We're going to take this and we're going to fold these back. So we got that, and then we're going to come around here, fold the tail piece. What is it? It goes somewhere. There we go. Folds on like that. Then get the arms out. And the spark crystal, because I don't think I mentioned this during the Magmasaurus mode, the spark crystal for Caesaurus is right there on the shoulder, which is pretty cool. So we're going to get the arms properly orientated like this, nice and neat, because that will be very important when we get to combining. Make sure, mind the tabs that keep everything in place. We're going to lock it in like this. So we've got his back and his shoulders. In fact, it actually needs to be around like this because this is all going to go downward. But that is kind of what you need for Caesaurus. Now for Mr. Skysaurus, once again, simplest one of the bunch. I like folding these little things down. You could leave them up. That's technically more show accurate. We're going to pull this down. You can see the face, and then we're going to collapse this like this. So that way it's all kind of lined up like this, and then we're going to get the legs positioned up like this. So that's kind of what's going on. He's almost, he's practically a headmaster in a lot of ways. Now comes the fun part. We have to get this guy together. So we're going to take the components we have, which is, I realize I did have this the correct direction. It's supposed to be facing down like this with that sticking out. Okay. Did not realize I didn't do that quite correct, but this is going to line up straight through here, and it's going to peg in. I don't know if you can see there's these 2 slots. There's these 2 tab holes. So you just put them in like that, and you can kind of see the shape forming. And then we're going to bring the head component in, which needs to slot in. Actually, that's right, you got to do this first. I always think you can put the arms on first, but yeah, you get a head latched in. So what it does is it lines up. So there is slots and pegs. You're going to line that up. It's going to not hold. You got to hold it while you bring in the arm components. So there's tab, slot, and then the tabs on the bottom. And it should all line up nice and easy, he says, because he's doing it on camera and things could go wrong. And then from here, we're going to raise these up, make sure the head's sticking out, raise these up, and then click into place. So these 2 clips go into that hole, click it, boom. And then you want to position the legs like that. Just kind of, you know, follow what I'm doing on the visual because I can't put it in words. So it collapses all like that. Actually, I think we can do the legs a little better. I think you can, I don't know if you, I always feel like you can, but I think it is supposed to just stick up kind of like that. I apologize if I do get any of this wrong. The trick with doing transformations on camera is knowing what's going on. Now from here, we want to raise those up because while we have the backpack in place, we need to rotate and rotate and rotate because essentially we need to get this head pegged on right there. And we want to make it as flush as possible back here. And that can be the trickiest part of it. So we're going to get this to peg in here. Boom. And then you can just kind of have this however. It is tricky to line up because it's got to stay consistent. You know, it's got to get that head where it's supposed to be. I'm trying to make it look pretty from the outside, which is also tricky. And about there, and about there, and about there, there's Magmatron. That's tricky, but it's a really solid transformation because once you have them done, it's pretty clean. It's just kind of hard to get to that point. Magmatron is a huge beast of a figure. He is very, very large and very, very impressive. I love the way he looks. I love the size scaling. He's fantastic. We're going to go through all of the details, though, of course, because we got to. We got to. So, first things first, we talked about the legs, but, you know, they're legs. He's got a very ornate crotch because this is Transformers. I like that the elements of the green and the red are parts connected to Landsaurus, but they have Skysaurus and Seasaurus elements, so it has a cohesion to it. And then on top of that, I do like the asymmetricalness of having the one golden shoulder pad. It was the 90s when this happened. And then, of course, you have the head here of land, sky, and sea, and you can even open the mouse there. If you wanted to, you could pop up this head. I like that this got the 3 head component thing still going on. I think that's just such a cool feature overall. I love that design feature. Now, of course, with the head, if you did want to have the wings splayed out like he does in the show, totally can. I just kind of collapsed it for the sake of, you know, review. He does fly with those wings in the show, so enjoy that. Great feature. Around the back, it is a little bit kibbly back here. It's just the nature of it. I think this is probably the hardest part to figure out, but once you do and you can rotate all the pieces so you don't have the gap showing, great stuff. And then, of course, we have the big old dinosaur tail. It officially connects like this, I think. It's supposed to be like up. I kind of like having it down. You can also pivot it, which is really nice. Now, speaking of articulation, pretty impressive for what is a very tricky combination. Doing multi-component robots means articulation's a little harder to pull off. But the head still rotates. It's going to, of course, like collide with things here because it is, you know, attached to the wings. The wings, of course, are still articulated. The shoulders are all ratchets, 360, bicep swivel. You get a double jointed elbow, which is super nice. You get a wrist swivel. The fingers move in and out, and the thumb moves in and out. And then you still have that circle to hold weapons, so you're not trying to, like, grip it. And then the legs, which, because they are the Landsaurus legs, they move out, they move forward, they go back, they thigh swivel. The knee is impressive. That is an insanely deep knee. And then, of course, he has really nice ankle tilts. So you can get on some pretty good poses overall, which I think is nice. Weapons-wise, I think I mentioned, you know, the weapons that are the swords on Skysaurus. You can just give them to him. So he's got kind of a smaller range of weapons there. Pretty cool. It's not my favorite thing. Those are just going to stay on the wings. I don't really see myself displaying them like that, because this other weaponry is a little bit more impressive overall than just those. Look at the wings out for dramatic flair. So of course we do have the shield. This is pretty much, you know, the remaining parts of Caesaurus. Now the shield plugs onto the arm. There's a peg there, and there's a couple clips to just anchor it. It just goes right on like that. You can have it up like this. If you want to plug it on the other way, you totally can. I kind of tend to prefer it this way. If you can get it to stay, because it kind of ends up auto-collapsing. Now it is on the back of his arm, so it's going to be awkward using it. You can't have him hold it like with a handle, but I think it looks pretty good. And then of course the sword from Lansaurus, which plugs on right there. Nice and easy. Looking pretty snazzy. I like the sort of gladiatorial arena feel of Magmatron. He is one of those, like a lot of the Japanese exclusive villains in Transformers. He is kind of a sit-in-the-chair guy for a lot of the show until he really needs to come out for a fight. And so I think it's just really cool that we have him like that. Now, the only complaint I have with this toy, and it's going to sound a little weird, it's that he comes with one other accessory, and that is a repeat of Omega Supreme's blast effects, now in purple. Now, you're probably like, why are you complaining about extra stuff? Because he really can't use these well. These are all like molded together. These are the blast effects from Siege Omega Supreme. We're going to just pivot down here. So you get multiple components. And this is great because we don't have enough blast effects, despite a lot of the weapons having blast effect ports. The problem I have is that he can't use any of those three, because they didn't make the mouth on Lansaurus. It doesn't open wide enough to have like a firing blast. They don't connect to any of the beast modes. So he can't use these at all. It's nice to have, but he can't use them. And then the instructions show you plugging all these together, like in a cascading order, like this. And then you have the sword, and then you plug this on here, and then you plug the sword part on here. And I'm sorry, but what the hell is this? Just a demo. This is the way that the instructions basically tell you how to connect this, and it's so floppy. It's awful. Now on the box art, it kind of shows ignoring these two pieces, and you have kind of like an exploding sword effect. I would say do this at most. You start stacking these, they start becoming unstable. That's got some stability to it. It still likes to fall out because it's just, you know, this is a softer plastic. But I mean, that looks kind of cool. Like his sword is exploding out of the handle, kind of like a lightsaber effect. But then this is, you know, still opaque. It's fine. I mean, I'm just gonna leave it like this. This is the most stable connection on the sword, which is already, the sword is already kind of bendy enough here that I don't think we need to add to the bendiness. But it is nice to get more blast effects. I do just wish he integrated them more. They kind of feel like they're just tossed in as an accessory thing, which again is fine. But if I had a critique on this figure, it's this. It's that I don't exactly know their purpose. And the box art and the instructions don't really have one either. Okay, so I'm cutting in from the future. While I was working on the video, I think I found what the blast effects are supposed to be used for, but I'm still going to complain about them not being useful. Let's just pull some of this off. Let's just go with this. See, the original toy, which I didn't realize this, and I just happened to catch it on, you know, just looking for pictures. The original toy had it that you could have this as a sword or as a blaster, and so with the blaster mode, you would have pew pew explosion blast effects. You can go, you know, full big blast explosion, and that looks better than trying to like stick a sword on the end of it, right? Again, I'm just going to cut it down to this because I think, you know, the more you stack, the worse it gets. But the problem is that it's not in the instructions, nor can you actually hold it like this. It doesn't work because this handle is specifically designed to be folded down, and then that gives you enough distance for him to hold it around the thumb and everything. But the problem is you can't fold this down and around with that handle before it just loosens up and you can no longer hold it. So there is a purpose for the blast effects. It's for the blaster form of his weapon, which is not advertised on the box or the sword, probably because it doesn't actually work. But overall, I mean, this is just fantastic, and I don't know what else to say about him besides he's really, really good. So on that, we should find out how big is he in comparison to his Transformer contemporaries. So for size comparisons, I think a good one to compare Skysaurus to would be Pterosaur from Kingdom, since they're both red flying dinosaurs. So you can see he's actually pretty good size. Like, despite the fact this guy is mostly just a head and a wingback, he's still pretty large considering this is like a deluxe class Transformer. This is the Air Razor mold, so if you want something equivalent, if you don't have Pterosaur, but that's kind of the size there. Of course, for Landsaurus, we're going to bring in Kingdom Beast Megatron, just, you know, two-legged dinosaurs. I think that what's really fascinating is I think that in some ways, Landsaurus is a little cleaner than Megatron, like with the whole neck looks much more natural and much cleaner than how Megatron's neck has to be because it turns into an arm. Though I will say Megatron's mouth opens enough to put a blast port in there, where this one doesn't. And that's a little bummer because Megatron doesn't come with blast effects, but Magmatron does. So it's kind of neat to see kind of two different takes on similar looking dinosaurs, but I like how different and distinctive they are overall. Like, they're clearly two different dinosaurs. So there's really nothing to compare Caesaurus to, so here's Silverbolt, just for fun. Legacy Silverbolt for clarity, because he looks a lot like the original toy. Anyways, there you go. There's good old Caesaurus, there is Silverbolt. So you can kind of see size-wise, it's pretty good. I mean, the size on Magmatron's components, fairly large. All right, so here's Magmatron with a couple Japanese-exclusive bad guy leaders. Overlord from Super God Master Force is the Titan's Return toy, and Deathsaurus, of course, the HasLab based on Transformers Victory. Just kind of a neat comparison. It does make me want to Beast Wars the second Galvatron, just to kind of really round this collection out, because we kind of have everybody of the Japanese bad guy force commanders, of course, the Destrons, the Predacons, Decepticons, whatever you want to call them. But it's just nice to see that they're all quite large figures, which is really, really cool. Okay, so Commander Class Magmatron from United, Commander Class Armada Optimus from Evolution, and Commander Class Motormaster / Menasor from Legacy. The Legacy trio of commanders. Now, of note, Motormaster here is combined with the other cars to make Menasor, but the overall skeleton is still possible with just the Commander class. But I gotta say, I love Commander class. Absolutely, I've talked about that before. This is exactly why. These are three of the coolest figures I own, and they're all in the same class together. I'm glad to see Magmatron is properly sized. I think this, Armada Optimus, Magmatron, this is our standard size for Commander. And there are a ton of combination stuff going on here, which I think is super cool. It's not just a size, it's really a really cool engineering thing, and I like it. I like it a lot. And then here he is, the 1986 movie Autobot Commander classes, Ultra Magnus, Rodimus Prime, Kingdom, Studio Series. You can see that he is out-towering Ultra Magnus, but Ultra Magnus does have a really nice vehicle mode. So it's always fun, because I think Commander class is the size it's supposed to be, not just trying to get to a certain scale. And then here is Jetfire from Siege and Skylynx from Earthrise, and you can see that Magmatron just looks magnificent. I love Commander class, and I just want to bring all of them out here so that we could compare them. And Jetfire's still the tallest, but I think he's supposed to be, so it makes sense. This is a great figure. I look at Jetfire and I look at Skylynx. I'm like, we've seen those guys before, but this is like our first Magmatron since the 90s. It's amazing. Here he is size-wise the leader class Beast Wars characters, Beast Megatron, Dragon Megatron, and Tigerhawk. So he is now the tallest generation's Beast Wars figure, which is cool. And a great distinction. I don't think there's anything that could beat him out, unless they do make Big Convoy as big as Magmatron, which would be freaking cool. I would be down for that. But this is, I think, our current scaling, and I think it's awesome. And then lastly, here he is with Voyager, Lio Convoy, Leo Prime from Legacy, and Tasmania Kid. These guys are both from Beast Wars the second, while Magmatron is from Beast Wars Neo. But you can kind of see these are our Japanese characters for our Beast Wars line. And I hope we get more, because there's plenty of other cool ones. But right now, I'm like, Galvatron and Big Convoy would be really great, because we've got the leader of the Maximals from one show and the leader of the Predacons from another show, and they don't have their counterparts yet. But maybe one day. You never know. Legacy's crazy, and that's why I like it. Last comparison, here's Siege Sideswipe, average deluxe class Transformer. just so you have a sky scaling of how he is next to what I would call like an average size deluxe Transformer. So Magmatron's pretty incredible. I highly recommend him. And don't get too hung up about my comments on the blast effects. It's not so much that he comes with blast effects, it's just I wish he could use them in some cool way. But other than that, I mean, it's great to have them, because I can put these on other figures if I want. But overall, I really don't have any other complaints besides that. I think the transformation is complex, yes, but it's appropriate because look what he does. He used 3 dinosaurs that combine into 1 dinosaur that also combine into a robot. Very complex things, but I like that the complexity is there and they didn't quite like skimp out in places like they could have. And in general, I just love the way he came together in his full robot mode, and I think he looks fantastic with the other Beast Wars figures. And it makes me want more Beast Wars stuff from Legacy, and I hope we will get it. So that does it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, hit subscribe and the notification bell for future videos on Transformers and other topics. Go check out what's already on the channel if you haven't already. Also, be sure to let me know in the comments if there's any questions, comments, concerns. Did I miss something? Did I skip something? Did I transform something wrong? Or are you confused about a certain part of the toy? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you want to help join the discussion, you can join our Discord server in the link below. Come hang out, come chat, all kinds of good stuff down there. You can also find our live streams on this YouTube channel every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Always a good time. You can also join as a channel member for perks like early access to videos, member shoutouts, member exclusive live streams. Join button down below will give you details on that, but let's give a special shout out to some of our channel members. Special shout out to our channel members, including our Captain Tiers, Spin-54, Super Shadix Boom, Toma K, Jamie's World, MasterBin95, Princeton Phalanx 59, It's La Dorman, Matthias Laura, K Breezy, Sentai Ranger Donnie, Ray Venkman, Common Jojo, Scotty Z70, Oma Ender, Marvel Fan, Dr. Grid, Brendan Overland, ARGM Marco 27, Jeremy Carr, Smith the Crow, and also special shout out to our new Commander Tier, Rock Singer 50. You can also find me on social media at Soundout12 across most platforms. You can find my awesome graphic designer on social media and Discord at DarkClaw643, and you can find Hero Club at hero-club.com for news, interviews, and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying, Magmatron, terrorize!